As a cowardly farmer falls for the mysterious new woman in town, he must put his newfound courage to the test when her husband, a notorious gunslinger, announces his arrival. This is my review of A Million Ways to Die in the West. If you haven't seen my review for Ted yet, then you should know that I was really surprised with Ted when I watched it a few months ago on my DVR. And I was surprised with it because when I first saw the trailers for Ted, I thought it was going to be like not a good comedy, but it was a fantastic comedy by Seth MacFarlane. So after I saw Ted and when I heard that this new movie by Seth MacFarlane was going to come out, I was really excited for it because I was thinking that this is going to be a good follow-up for Ted, and it was going to be interesting to see how Seth MacFarlane was not going to play a CGI character and be a live-action person in a live-action movie and see how his acting was. I gotta tell you guys that A Million Ways to Die in the West was not a good follow-up, but I'll say it's an alright comedy. The good points. The number one good point about this movie was the costume and production designs of the movie. And I know it's a little bit weird to hear that from a comedy, but since it's taking place in the West, you have to make it feel like it's taking place in the West during the late 1800s when America is expanding America. And like when I watch a movie, I felt like you were in that time period with all these actors and extras in their costumes and around these sets, and made you feel like you were in the late 1800s. The next good point is the fact that you can tell that Seth MacFarlane's signature is like in this movie. Like you can tell that this is his comedy when there is comedy in the movie, and it's really good comedy. But there are other parts. I'll get to that later. But for the most part, I have to say that the comedic humor that Seth wrote was good, and his directing for most of those comedic moments were good as well. The next good thing I have to say is that the acting was actually good for a comedy. Like, not like everything about this movie was like comedic. Like there was some strains of drama in it, and I even thought that Seth MacFarlane did a good job acting. But there was also Sarah Silverman, Giovanni Ribisi, Liam Neeson, and Charlize Theron. Also Neil Patrick Harris and Amanda Seyfried, who also did good jobs. And the final good point about this movie is the cameos. And if I remember right, there are 4 cameos in this movie. Like there are 2 which you really have to pay attention for, but the other 2 are like really. You notice like who these people are like when you see them like on like in the movie, but the other 2 like you have to like really look in the movie. The bad points. Like I said before, I thought that the directing by Seth MacFarlane during some of the comedic moments was done well, but there were other moments and other scenes in this movie where it felt like Seth MacFarlane was trying to go out of his comfort zone and try something new with directing, and it didn't work for me for some reason. Like his directing seemed a little bit off, a little bit weird, and it seemed like his directing made the pacing of the movie seem off as well. For example, there's this horse chase, and that's not spoiling anything because that's in the trailer, but there's this horse chase, and when you see that scene in the movie, it's like, I don't know, there's like something off about that scene because it feels like it's trying to be a action scene, and it just doesn't feel like an action scene because like the pacing is off. Or maybe it's just the fact that there wasn't enough action during that scene. Another bad point is that some of the humor didn't get to me, and I said this during my TED review, is that Seth MacFarlane humor is sometimes hit and miss for me. It's like sometimes it's like really funny to me and I really laugh a lot, and other times it's like, yep, I just don't think that's funny at all. The final bad point I have to say is with Liam Neeson's character, because Liam Neeson's character is like this serious gunslinger type of person, and I would have liked him a little bit more if he had more comedic moments, because he had 2 comedic moments, I believe, during this movie, and I think I would have liked the character more if Liam Neeson or Seth MacFarlane had written more comedic moments for Liam Neeson's character, because his character didn't really feel like a big antagonist, or like a antagonist that Seth MacFarlane would have in like one of his movies. So I saw this movie with my dad, and my dad gives this movie a 2.75 out of 4 stars, while I give it a 2.5 out of 4 stars. Like I said, I thought it was an alright comedy. I don't think you need to go and see it right now, but I think it's worth watching when it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray. And I'm not going to be spoiling anything for you guys, so other than that, that's it.